There's something wrong with you. And you've known it since you were young. While other kids were playing, you were watching. While they believed what adults told them, you saw the cracks in the stories. You noticed when smiles didn't match eyes, when words didn't match energy, and once you started seeing it, you couldn't stop. That's your curse. You know too much, not facts or information. Anyone can Google those. You know the things people spend their whole lives pretending aren't real. The patterns behind behavior, the fear behind anger, the insecurity behind arrogance, the pain behind cruelty. You see the machine behind the magic, and it's made you alien to a world that runs on beautiful lies. Let me tell you exactly when this started. You were probably 7, maybe 8 years old. Something happened that broke your normal programming. Maybe you caught your parents in a significant lie. Maybe you saw an adult you trusted completely fall apart. Or maybe nothing specific happened at all. Your brain just developed differently. Where other kids' minds were learning to filter reality into comfortable categories, yours stayed raw, unfiltered, unprotected. And that single difference changed everything about how you experience existence. You'd watch your parents and realize they had no idea what they were doing. They were just grown-up children, scared and pretending. The recognition hit you like cold water. These people who were supposed to have answers were making it up as they went. You'd see teachers playing favorites while preaching fairness. The hypocrisy was so obvious it made your stomach hurt. How did nobody else see this? Were you crazy, or was everyone else blind? These questions started a spiral that hasn't stopped spinning. Friends being nice to faces and cruel to backs became a pattern you couldn't unsee. Every social interaction became a chess game where you could see all the moves before they happened. You knew who would betray whom, who would lie about what, and you'd sit there, 7 years old, 8 years old, wondering, does everyone else not see this? Or do they see it and pretend they don't? This question would haunt you for the rest of your life, because both answers are terrifying. Here's what happened to your brain that makes you different. Where most people developed filters to block out uncomfortable truths, yours stayed open. Psychologists call this reduced latent inhibition. Your mind doesn't automatically dismiss irrelevant information like normal brains do. You process everything, every micro-expression that flashes across a face for 1/10 of a second, every tiny shift in tone that reveals the real emotion behind words, every inconsistency between what people say and what their bodies communicate. Your brain is running pattern recognition software that won't turn off, can't turn off. It's constantly scanning, analyzing, connecting dots that other people don't even know exist. And this isn't a gift. It's a mutation, a glitch in the comfort programming that keeps most humans sane. Think about what this means neurologically. Your anterior cingulate cortex, the part that detects conflicts and inconsistencies, is hyperactive. Your prefrontal cortex won't stop analyzing social dynamics. Your amygdala is constantly flagging threats that aren't physical, but psychological. Most people's minds protect them from seeing too much reality. It's actually a survival mechanism, because if you truly understood how fragile everything is, how much everyone is improvising, how little control anyone actually has, you'd be paralyzed by existential terror. So the brain creates comfortable blindness. It literally filters out information that would cause psychological distress. This is why people can ignore obvious problems, why they can believe lies that make no sense, why they can trust systems that clearly don't work. Except yours didn't develop this protection. Your protection software is broken, or maybe it was never installed. And that makes you dangerous. Not physically dangerous, psychologically dangerous, because you see what's behind the curtain. You know what nobody admits? Every single person is performing. Every conversation is a negotiation. Every kindness has conditions. Every relationship is transactional. This isn't cynicism, it's pattern recognition after 10,000 observations. You've watched long enough to see the same games play out over and over. Different faces, same patterns, different words, same meanings. The new boss who talks about family values while planning layoffs. The friend who says they're happy for your success while their jaw clenches. The romantic partner who says they love you while keeping one foot out the door. You can see it. You've always been able to see it, the tiny telltales that reveal the truth beneath the performance. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's the part that really messes with you. You can't turn it off. You walk into a room and immediately know who's insecure, who's lying, who's about to break, who wants something from whom. It's automatic, involuntary, like breathing. You can feel the emotional weather systems moving through groups, the anxiety spreading from person to person like a virus, the desperate need for validation radiating from someone across the room, the quiet despair behind someone's constant jokes. You know whose marriage is failing before they do. You can sense when someone's about to quit their job, leave their relationship, have a breakdown. You see the cracks forming months before the structure collapses, and you've learned to say nothing. Because when you've tried to warn people, they either don't believe you or they hate you for seeing what they're trying to hide. So you watch disasters unfold in slow motion, seeing every preventable moment. This knowing has isolated you profoundly. Because when you see through everyone's masks, genuine connection becomes almost impossible. How do you relate to someone when you see all their defense mechanisms operating in real time? How do you respect someone when you watch them lying to themselves every day? How do you love someone when you can predict exactly how they'll disappoint you? When you know which insecurity will eventually make them cruel, you've probably tried to turn it off, tried to be normal, tried to not notice things. But it's like trying to unhear music once you understand melody. The patterns are everywhere, screaming at you, demanding to be recognized. In the way people's voices change when they're lying, that slight uptick in pitch, the barely perceptible pause before answering. In the stories they tell themselves to justify their choices, the same narrative structures repeated endlessly. In the small cruelties they commit while believing they're good people. The way they'll destroy someone's day to feel slightly more powerful, then go home and tell themselves they're kind. You see it all, every day, constantly. What you have is called hypervigilance mixed with cognitive empathy. Your threat detection system is turned up to maximum, but instead of just detecting physical danger, you detect psychological patterns, social dynamics, hidden motivations. Evolution gave you a brain designed to survive by understanding predators. Modern life gave you predators that smile and shake hands, that send friendly emails while planning your termination, that say they love you while texting someone else. Here's something most people don't understand about knowing too much. It's not intelligence. Plenty of smart people live in comfortable delusions. Some of the most intelligent people you know are completely blind to their own patterns. It's not education either. Some of the most educated people are the most sophisticated in their self-deception. They use their intelligence to build elaborate justifications for what they want to believe. Their knowledge becomes a tool for deeper denial. What you have is a glitch in your comfort programming. Where others' minds say, "That's enough, stop looking," yours says, "Keep going, there's more." Where others' brains protect them with blessed ignorance, yours demands brutal clarity. And you've paid for this knowledge. Think about every friendship that died when you saw too much. When you noticed they only called when they needed something. When you realized they weren't capable of the depth you craved. Every relationship that ended when you couldn't pretend anymore. When you couldn't ignore the red flags you saw from day one. When you couldn't keep playing the role they needed you to play in their personal narrative. Every job you left because you saw through the corporate theater, the meaningless metrics, the performative busywork, the way everyone pretended to care about things that obviously didn't matter while ignoring what did. Every family gathering where you sit silent because speaking truth would shatter everything. Where you watch relatives repeat the same dysfunctional patterns they've been playing out for decades, each pretending it's normal. The paradox is that seeing clearly has made your life harder, not easier. Ignorance actually is bliss. The people who don't see what you see are happier. They can believe in things. They can trust without questioning. They can love without analyzing. They can exist without the constant weight of awareness pressing down on them. They can sleep without their minds replaying every interaction, finding the lies they missed. They don't spend hours analyzing why someone said what they said, what they really meant, what they were trying to achieve. They don't see the puppet strings. They just enjoy the show. But here's what you might not have realized yet. This curse is also evolution. You're not broken. You're adapted for a reality that's coming. A reality that's already here for those who can see it. Think about what's happening to our world. Every system is becoming more manipulative. Social media algorithms designed by neuroscientists to hijack your dopamine. News cycles engineered to keep you afraid and angry. Corporations using psychological manipulation so sophisticated it makes old advertising look like finger painting. Political systems that have abandoned even pretending to represent people's interests. Everything is becoming more fake, more performed, more manipulated. And in that world, the ability to see through the performance isn't a curse. It's survival equipment. You're not mentally ill. You're early. You're adapted for a world where nothing can be taken at face value. The number of people like you is growing. The ones who can't unsee what they've seen, who can't go back to sleep once they've woken up, who carry the burden of awareness in a world that rewards unconsciousness. We're living through a massive transformation in human consciousness. The old systems of control, religion, nationalism, traditional media, they're all breaking down. But they're being replaced by something more subtle, more invasive, manipulation that doesn't look like manipulation, control that feels like freedom, prisons that look like playgrounds, and most people can't see it. They're too deep in it, like fish who don't know they're in water. But you see the water, you've always seen it, and that's why you feel like you're drowning while everyone else seems to be breathing fine. You're conscious of the medium everyone else takes for granted. This is what Plato was talking about in his cave allegory. Most people are watching shadows on the wall, thinking it's reality. You turned around and saw the fire, and now you can't convince anyone else that the shadows aren't real. You know too much to go back. The knowledge has changed you at a cellular level. Your neurons have formed patterns that can't be unformed. You can't unknow what you know. You can't unfeel what you feel. But maybe that's the point. Maybe consciousness isn't supposed to be comfortable. Maybe awareness isn't supposed to be pleasant. Maybe the price of seeing clearly is feeling everything deeply. Think about it. Every prophet, every visionary, every person who changed history, they all had this same curse. They saw what others couldn't or wouldn't see, and it isolated them, drove some of them mad, but it also made them necessary. Because someone has to see. Someone has to witness what's really happening. Someone has to remember what everyone else is desperate to forget. You're part of a lineage that goes back to the beginning of human consciousness. The shamans who saw visions, the philosophers who questioned reality, the artists who revealed truth through beauty, the scientists who proved what couldn't be real, the writers who documented what couldn't be said. All of them carried the same burden you carry, seeing too much, knowing too much, unable to return to innocence. So what do you do with this terrible gift? First, stop trying to fit in. You won't. You can't. You weren't meant to. Your purpose isn't to be normal. It's to be awake in a sleeping world. Second, stop explaining what you see to people who don't want to see it. They'll hate you for it. They need their illusions more than they need truth. Your clarity threatens their comfort. Third, find the others. The ones with the same broken protection software. The ones who know too much. They're out there, sitting in their own isolation, seeing what you see, feeling what you feel. They're in coffee shops at 3 a.m., unable to sleep. They're walking cities at night, trying to exhaust their minds. They're writing, painting, creating. trying to translate what they see into something others might understand. You'll recognize them immediately. There's something in the eyes, a depth, a sadness, a knowing. Like veterans of a war nobody else knows is happening. You won't need to explain yourself. They already understand. Fourth, use what you see. Don't let it just torture you. Channel it into something. Art, writing, innovation, healing. Whatever lets you transform the burden into purpose. Your curse can become your contribution. Because here's what's coming. A world where everyone will need to see what you see. The comfortable illusions are breaking down. The systems are failing. The masks are slipping. Reality is pushing through the denial. Climate change that can't be ignored. Economic systems collapsing under their own weight. Social contracts dissolving. Meaning crisis epidemic. Mental health catastrophe. Everything you've been seeing in individuals is happening to civilization itself. And when the sleepwalkers finally wake up, they're going to need guides. People who've been conscious all along. Who know how to navigate reality without comforting lies. Who can see clearly in chaos. That's you. That's why you know too much. Not as punishment, but as preparation. You're early to a party everyone will eventually have to attend. The party where illusions die and truth becomes mandatory. Your knowing too much isn't going to get easier. The patterns you see aren't going to disappear. If anything, they're going to become more obvious as systems decay and people get desperate. The weight of awareness isn't going to lift, but you can choose what to do with it. You can let it crush you, make you bitter, turn you into someone who hates humanity for its willful blindness. Or you can accept that you're one of the few people actually experiencing reality instead of a comfortable simulation of it. You're living an authentic life in a world of performances. That's rare. That's valuable. Because here's the final truth that changes everything. Everyone knows, deep down, in their quiet moments, in the middle of the night, in the spaces between thoughts, they know everything you know. They just choose to forget. Every morning they wake up and choose amnesia, choose comfort, choose the easier path of not knowing. But the knowledge is there, buried under layers of protective denial. You're just someone who can't forget, someone who won't forget, someone who was built to remember what everyone else is desperate to deny. And in a world racing towards some unknown transformation that might be exactly what's needed. Think about this. Every expansion of human consciousness has been led by people who saw too much, who knew too much, who couldn't unknow what they'd learned. They were always outsiders, always uncomfortable, always slightly broken, but they were also the ones who pushed humanity forward, who refused to accept that's just how things are, who saw through the current reality to possibilities others couldn't imagine. You're part of that tradition. The tradition of the awakened, the conscious, the ones who carry the burden of sight in a world that prefers blindness. It's not a comfortable tradition, but it's a necessary one. And here's something they don't tell you about knowing too much. It's contagious. Once someone encounters a truly conscious person, something in them wakes up. Even if they resist it, fight it, deny it, a seed gets planted. You've probably done this without realizing it. Said something that haunted someone, asked a question they couldn't stop thinking about, showed them a glimpse of what they were avoiding. You're a walking wake-up call. This is why you make people uncomfortable. Not because you're weird or difficult or antisocial, but because your presence reminds them of what they're choosing not to see. You're a mirror they don't want to look into. But some people are ready to wake up. They're tired of the performance, exhausted by the pretending, ready to trade comfort for truth. And when they meet you, they recognize something they've been searching for. Permission to see what they see. Validation that they're not crazy. Confirmation that, yes, something is deeply wrong with how we're living. That the emperor has no clothes and everyone knows it. These are your people. Not many of them, but enough. Quality over quantity, depth over breadth, real connection over surface performance. These relationships will sustain you in ways normal friendships never could. Because when you know too much, you need others who know too much, who understand the weight, who carry their own burden of consciousness, who can sit with you in the difficult truths without trying to pretty them up. This is your tribe, the awakened ones, the ones who can't go back to sleep. You'll build something different together, not better necessarily, but truer, more aligned with what you actually see rather than what you're supposed to pretend. And maybe, just maybe, you'll create pockets of authentic reality in a world of performance. Spaces where masks can come off, where truth can be spoken, where the knowing too much becomes knowing enough, because the goal isn't to know less. It's to find peace with knowing, to hold the truth without letting it destroy you, to see clearly without becoming bitter, to stay conscious without losing compassion. This is the advanced practice, seeing all the darkness and still choosing to engage, knowing how broken everything is and still trying to build, understanding human nature's worst aspects and still believing in its potential. You know too much to be naive. But you also know enough to understand that cynicism is just another defense mechanism, another way to protect yourself from feeling, another wall between you and the raw experience of being alive. The real challenge isn't seeing through illusions. That part happened automatically for you. The real challenge is what comes after. How do you live once you see? How do you love once you know? How do you hope once you understand? These are the questions that matter. Not whether you know too much. You do. That's established. The question is whether you'll let that knowledge evolve you or destroy you, whether you'll use it or be used by it. Because knowing too much is just the beginning. It's the initiation, the wake-up call. What matters is what you do once you're awake, how you navigate reality once the comfortable dreams are gone. And here's the secret that makes it all bearable. Beauty still exists. Love is still real. Connection is still possible. They're just different than what you were taught. Deeper, more complex, more precious because you know how rare they are. When you know too much, every moment of genuine beauty becomes sacred. Every authentic connection becomes a miracle. Every true word spoken becomes an act of revolution in a world built on lies. You start to find the divine in the broken places, the truth in the margins, the real in the spaces between performances. And that becomes your practice, your discipline, your art. Finding what's real in a world of simulation, touching truth in an ocean of deception, building genuine connection across the void of isolation. This is the work of those who know too much. And maybe that's enough. Maybe you don't need to save the world or wake everyone up. Maybe you just need to stay awake yourself, to bear witness, to remember, to know what you know without apology. Because someone has to. Someone has to see what's really happening. Someone has to document this strange moment in human history when everything is shifting and nothing is certain. That someone is you. You and the others like you. The ones who know too much. The conscious ones, the awakened. You're not broken, you're not crazy, you're just early to a reality everyone will eventually have to face. So carry your burden with dignity. Your knowing is needed, even if it's not appreciated. Your sight is valuable, even if it's uncomfortable. Your consciousness is evolution, even if it feels like devolution. You know too much, you always will, and that's not your curse. It's your calling. The question isn't whether you can handle it. You already are. You've been handling it your whole life. The question is whether you'll use it to separate yourself from humanity or to serve it. Whether you'll let it make you special or let it make you useful. Whether you'll hoard your knowing or share it with those ready to receive it. Because in the end, knowing too much isn't about you. It's about what knowing demands of you. The responsibility that comes with sight. The obligation that comes with consciousness, the duty that comes with being awake. You didn't ask for this. Nobody asked to know too much. But here you are, awake in a sleeping world, conscious in an unconscious system, seeing what others can't or won't see. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly where you're supposed to be. Not comfortable, not happy in the conventional sense, but aligned with something deeper, something truer, something more real than real. You know too much. Own it. Use it. Share it with those who can handle it. And find peace in the fact that your burden is also your gift. Your curse is also your contribution. The world needs people who know too much, who see too clearly, who feel too deeply. Because without you, everyone would stay asleep. And sleeping through life isn't living. It's just existing. You chose living. Or maybe living chose you. Either way, you're here, awake, aware, knowing too much and unable to know less. That's not a mistake. That's evolution. That's consciousness expanding. And one day, probably not in your lifetime, but someday, everyone will know what you know. Everyone will see what you see. And the species will look back and recognize that the ones who knew too much were the ones who knew just enough. Just enough to stay human in dehumanizing systems. Just enough to stay real in artificial worlds. Just enough to stay conscious as everything tried to put them back to sleep. You know too much. Thank God someone does.